The debt crisis seems to be under control, at least for the time being. We got some more jobs data today that doesn't seem too bullish to me, but the market is interpreting it that way anyway. So we're going to get into all of that and more. Before we do so, you know the drill. Do me a huge favor, hit that like button. If you have not yet, subscribe to our channel. Nothing that Kevin or I say is financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We are a few guys who are trying to navigate the choppy waters of the financial markets. But please do your own research before making any buys and sells. Kevin, the vote went through last night in the House. It cleared easily, looking like it's going to clear the Senate. Joe will probably be signing it into law within the next couple of days. Most likely crisis averted. There's still the very outside chance that one of the credit bureaus decreases the U.S.'s rating. I don't see that happening, though, especially with everything else going on. I think everything's going to stand pat there. The markets are responding positively. I mentioned at the top, there was jobs data. And tomorrow's the big jobs report, but today kind of gives you a preview. And one of them was the ADP jobs data. That looks more at the private sector. The expectation was 180,000 jobs added. That number came in at 278,000 jobs added, more than 50% over expectation. For what the Fed is trying to do, that's not great. We look at initial jobless claims. It was at 232 versus 235,000 expected. So slightly under there as well. So not as many people, looking for getting that jobless claim assistance. So it's really just the Fed says they're data dependent. And at this point, I don't know what to believe. We had Jeffries out yesterday saying that we're looking at a pause. The markets responded favorably. You and I were just postulating that maybe he's just out here trying to set himself up. If Biden wins another term, will he be in line to be the Fed president? Is he suckling at the teat of Joe here to try and further his career? I don't know. But I've been talking for 2 straight minutes, so I should probably let you speak because I'm just very frustrated.
No, man, I'm frustrated too. I'm frustrated to the point where I'm just relaxed and extremely calm. Do you know what I mean? It's just been such BS. Again, they always say that they're data dependent. We got so much data that's terrible in the past week, out of nowhere. And out of nowhere, they're just maybe we don't have to raise rates this time around. They are just trying to get Joe Biden across the fucking finish line at this point. Whoever ends up being the president, because again, we saw last night, Republicans pretty much just let them get away with uncapped spending for the next 2 years. Already sending $300 billion over to Ukraine. That's usually happens when you don't have a spending limit, right? You're just gonna end up spending more in the long term. But right now, it just seems like they're doing everything they can just to have this guy in office, make him look good going into an election year. Honestly, this is just BS. Again, you can't hold up bullshit forever. At some point, it's going to break through and it's going to seep through your fingers. And next thing you know, it's just going to smell like shit. It already smells like shit. But
I'm looking through all of this week and all of last week's data.
It's terrible.
I have all of it, all the notable stuff in front of me, and nothing about it screams that the Fed can take their foot off the gas. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's not right? Dependent then, is it?
No, it's sure as shit isn't. Last week's data around PCE came in higher than expected. Last week's jobless claims came in under expectation. This week's JOLTS report came in way over expectation. Then we see the data today. There is not a snowball's chance in hell that tomorrow's employment report is good. It just can't be.
No.
Okay. The expectation for tomorrow is 188,000 jobs added. Don't believe that for a second. The unemployment rate they're expecting to tick up to 3.5% from 3.4%. Do not believe that for a second. No. I think those are both. I think we could see unemployment be at 3.3 or 3.2 even. We could see another 250,000. Jobs added could go up significantly back to 250K even. Once again, it is a wish. Ace, good to see you. It is a wish in one hand, shit in the other situation. And right now, I'm not liking the way that shit feels.
And here's the thing, too. Again, if we're data dependent, we understand that if lower unemployment comes in, that's not necessarily good for the fight against inflation, right? We all know that. I think that's because we're also deep into this. But for the general public that sees, unemployment's going down, that looks pretty good for Biden, right? It really depends on how you're looking at this. But we know that in macroeconomics, when we have an inflationary period, that unemployment needs to go up if we want to control inflation, right? We've seen it from every recession that's happened, since 1960s, 1970s, even prior to that. But it's a point where we need to see unemployment go up. We're seeing unemployment and all these jobs being added. Maybe we don't have the greatest participation, but we're still seeing a lot of these smaller companies still hire in the private sector, right? Large corporations definitely laying off. I think the big one that I mentioned yesterday about Binance laying off, I think it was 20,000 people. We're seeing tons of that from larger corporations, but what was the other one? Someone recent, or ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter was one that said that they were laying off a huge amount of their workforce too. Like, we're seeing these from these large corporations, but still, from the data we got today from ADP, these smaller, businesses are still hiring, and that's not good for inflation. We need to see unemployment rise, and right now we're seeing it decrease. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see it somewhere stagnant tomorrow, but there is some data behind it where the headline looks good, maybe for the general public, not for us necessarily because we're looking at the market always, but there's some data within it that looks even worse, and it's kind of manipulative from people taking a look at it. That's what my opinion is for what we're going to expect tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, there's the bill for the debt ceiling still has to pass through the Senate. There's some concern about that in regards to some Republicans trying to hold it up. We'll see. But that's the big thing right now. It doesn't really seem like the data is doing shit. It's just headline focused. It's hopes and dreams. And I talked about it ad nauseum yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it again. I don't think we can take the word of two members of the Fed to say that this is exactly what's going to happen at the meeting in a couple of weeks. We got 13 days until the next Fed rate decision. And the markets have priced out once again a rate hike. I don't believe it. Like, this is one spot. It's now like 75% for no hike, 25% for 25 basis points. I'm not giving up on that by a long shot. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what happens next week. Not shit's going on really. So let's see what happens for the CPI print the following week. What were you getting ready to say?
I was going to say, did you see what Harker said yesterday, the other Fed president?
He was dovish too, right?
He said something like, the Fed doesn't need to necessarily raise rates every meeting, but he says this wouldn't be a pause. This would be a skip, not a pause. What the fuck does that mean?
Skip to my fucking loo, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Why are we kicking the can down the road further?
It made no sense. I read that. Like, I actually tried to dumb myself down to see if I could understand that. And even if I didn't know anything about macroeconomics or anything about the economics or financial world, that made no fucking sense at all. It's not a pause. It's a skip, not a pause. What the fuck? I mean, you're not going to raise rates either way. You're not going to do anything. It's just going to be the rates are going to remain the same. What the fuck does that mean? It's a skip, not a pause. Same shit.
You skip if the numbers came in at expectation, not when everything is fucking missing. Everything is missing right now.
Yeah.
Every data point for the last 2 weeks has been a miss on expectation. It's indicated that we are nowhere close to this shit being done.
And
like you have said
for months.
Like you have said a lot, it's not hard to get inflation from 9% to 5%, but it's sure as shit difficult to get it from 5 to 2 or 3. And we're seeing that play out in real time. And the Fed thinks they can just take their foot off the gas and we'll just skip around town. Just skip around town. Fucking Christ. God. Damn it. Like, we are never going to exit this fucking bear market.
No, this is a multi-year bear market. I think it's safe to say that. So get comfortable. Definitely. It's absolutely bullshit. Again, there's a reason why we got inflation down so much. 50s and 75s, like Halloween candy, tossing them out every fucking month. And it was great. I mean, granted, it was fun to be trading back and forth, getting $1,000 wicks and candles back and forth for Bitcoin. But, obviously that's not doing it anymore. These 25s, and also the 25s aren't bringing down inflation enough. So we're almost at a point where we're just getting into stagflation. It really does seem that way. But the only problem is unemployment's not going up. I don't understand that aspect of this entire market. That's the one thing. It's like, why isn't there more unemployment? If we were seeing more unemployment with all the rate hikes, I mean, this is the fastest we've ever raised rate hikes raised rates in the entire history of the United States. It's in 1 year we did this. It was up, I think, some astronomical numbers, like in the 1,000%, which makes sense considering we started at 0. But it's just absolutely insane how we haven't seen a bigger hit on employment. Right now, it's just like it's just a stupid period where we could be going into stagflation or we could just be going into a depression. I don't know if we're going to the depression, but it's fucking bad where it just doesn't make sense. It's so wild to me. That's the one thing that just I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, for sure. Ace is completely right.
Yeah.
Like the longer that this gets delayed, the more painful it's going to be when things inevitably crash. Like the pain always comes after the pivot,
Yep.
right? So the longer they wait on these fucking hikes, the longer it's going to be until they pause, and then when they pivot, it's just going to be brutal. I still fully expect that. I still think that it's going to be a very bumpy ride. But what do I know? I'm some guy sitting in his living room, and these are the chairs of the Fed. So maybe I'm just a real idiot compared to them.
I will say this though, if you are a young person and you are, you got time, this market is absolutely being super resilient. So if you're able to make that money, just keep building it because this bubble will burst and you'll have the opportunity of a lifetime, but it's also going to be absolutely devastating for everyone who hasn't been paying attention and did not prepare. This is, I mean, what was I always forget the quote from Steve Carell's quote from The Big Short, talking about how fraud has never worked in the history of ever. And if we continue lying and bullshitting ourselves, at one point it's finally going to break through, and no one ever gets away with fraud. It always comes through, even if they don't go to jail. At the end of the day, it still just ends up becoming a problem that you can't resolve. It has to play out all the way through, and that's what I think is going to end up happening. We're going to see something so devastating just because we lied and pushed everything so far down the road. We weren't responsible. No one's being responsible right now.
Yeah, we've seen the credit card debt hit, continue to hit new highs month after month, and that number ain't coming down anytime soon. I think we've touched on that enough. One thing I will say, and this is something that you and I will talk more about probably next week, but I'm getting very interested in the South American markets. I've been starting to do more research on Brazil, on Chile. I think there's a lot of potential right there. For the most part, what I'm seeing is a lot of ETFs, which I'm not a huge ETF fan. I think for people who don't want to pay as much attention as you and me, they're a great option. There's some really great ETFs for Latin America, for South America, for Chile and Mexico and Colombia and Brazil. So I want to dig into those a little bit deeper because I think that there's, we've seen over the years a lot of like political upheaval in those countries as they try to, become more democratic. I think there's a huge potential down there as well as they become, we all know that Asia has been a great emerging market for a long time. And I think that there's still plenty of growth potential over there, especially in India. Japan's doing great lately, South Korea. But I think that South America is where we should be looking a little bit more. And so that's something I want to dive into a bit more next week. We saw numbers today out of Brazil. Their GDP grew 1.9% versus 1.2% expected quarter over quarter, which is fantastic. Like they handled COVID pretty well. Their inflation is not nearly as bad as many other countries. So I think it would be very beneficial if we dedicate an episode next week to talking about that. So hopefully if you're watching, plan on that for next week. We'll announce when it's going to be, but I really want to dive into that and give people some good opportunities because, if we think that this U.S. market is going to drag its feet forever before we finally bust, I would rather spend some time instead of getting frustrated about that, like looking elsewhere for opportunities. So that's kind of my game plan.
Oh yeah, totally. That's actually one part of the world I'm actually extremely interested in too. Mainly because you have one country such as Chile, who's been absolutely, it's a pretty capitalist country, and they've done extremely well for them. They're pretty similar to Canada in terms of like some of the programs they offer, but at the same time, they do pretty well. Obviously, like we've talked about, or you just mentioned, there's tons of political upheaval, but then you get nations like Argentina next door who have insane inflation. They've had a history of just absolute terrible debt. The rate hikes or the rates are over there, I think 97 points or something like that. So it's really interesting to see how some countries in those areas are doing extremely well. Some don't. Really depends, but that's definitely something that I think we should definitely go into nauseum about. Or not nauseum, but just talk about.
Go into it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything on the charts today that is jumping out at you? I know the DXY, Jesus, the DXY, the VIX is under 16.
Yeah,
I just looked for the first time today. The VIX is down almost 12% on the day. I fucking I just hate it. I hate.
I
Thanks. I
know.
hate it. What the fuck?
I got so mad
This
looking at the
is so
DXY.
dumb.
That DXY today made me so mad. And I'm like, wait, why is the fucking dollar dumping? And I look at the Nasdaq up 177 points right now, 176. I'm like, this fucking market, they're just buying everything, man. With what money? What money did people have?
There was money on the sidelines. I didn't think it was like this. I don't know how much of it is manipulated.
In crypto, for sure, it's manipulated.
Oh
I will
man.
definitely say that the volumes are extremely low. The only thing I will say, there was enough money on the sidelines because of fucking stupid meme coins, right? Obviously, there's a bunch of things going on there. We got to watch out for some of these exchanges because they're doing crazy shit with these meme coins now. But crypto is 100% manipulated price. Stable coins change the entire market. We all know that, Binance, all that bullshit. But for the traditional markets, it's like these people just want to buy 5 tech stocks, and the entire market just wants to follow with it. These indices, man, Nasdaq especially. It's like, come on, quit fucking
Dude,
bullshitting me.
Nasdaq is approaching a more than 1 year high. It went up the other day, but we could see it continue to climb and hit the highest. I mean, it's higher than it's been since
This
in
entire
over a
market's
year,
high.
since April of last year. And it's, I mean, if we keep going, if we get the debt deal, everything done in time, but I still think that like the data that's going to come out in the next 2 weeks before the Fed is not going to be good.
No, it's gonna be shit. This entire market's
Like,
high. Everyone's logging into their TD Ameritrade and their Charles Schwab accounts,
hey,
taking a
don't make fun.
fat.
I got my TD Ameritrade
I,
right in front of me right now. I don't need you making fun of TD
I
Ameritrade.
was just about to say they're taking a fat bong rip, then they're just buying the shit out of tech stocks. That's what people are doing. This market's absolutely out of its mind. But
See, I'm on
yeah,
the other end where I'm just sitting here. I have money loaded in my TD Ameritrade ready to go, but I'm just not willing to pull the trigger. Honestly, the only thing I'm willing to pull the trigger on is maybe some ETFs in South America. Like that's really the only thing at this point in time that I feel comfortable with potentially. Like I don't want to buy at these valuations with the insane run up we've had. Like get the fuck out of here.
yeah, and you got to watch out for short squeezes too, right? Like obviously, I keep saying this because I want to be fully transparent. I haven't taken any profit on my shorts, but I've loaded up on them, and I've been loading up on them every time it goes up. And when this market does drop, it's gonna be a fucking fireworks. But for the time being, it's like, yeah, maybe this isn't the best way to be making in the short term. I mean, it definitely maybe South
Kevin's
America is the way
shorts
to
are
be.
so big, it's like Janko's back in the early 2000s, man. Kevin's rocking those Janko shorts at this point. That's how far into the shorts he is in this market. God bless him.
It's who wears those shorts? I feel like I've heard a ton of people talking about them recently. Is that like people like Deftones and stuff like that?
Recently?
Yeah,
I mean, back in the day, it was like people listened to like Korn and Limp
yeah, that's what I
Bizkit.
thought.
Like,
Exactly. I
yeah.
went to a concert where people were talking about them. That's why.
Or even the Janko jeans, if you don't want to go with the shorts, the Janko jeans that were just like. Anyway, we've gone off. I mean, this show always goes off the rails, but we've really taken it off the rails now.
Yeah.
I know you have to get to work for a Taylor Swift concert, which I know you're pretty jazzed about.
Oh, can't wait. Yeah,
Anything you want to look at on the charts before we call it a day?
these charts are absolutely stupid right now. So I've been avoiding. Look at this, 181 now. Fuck me. I'm just looking at Bitcoin dominance. Obviously, is here. I'll just pull up a few charts. I'm gonna go real fast just because there's nothing really we need to be worrying about. The market's being stupid and going up, and when that happens, you just got to look at the things that give you reassurance. Right now, we look at the Bitcoin dominance. We can see that it's coming down. This is on the 50 moving average, and it broke below it. Obviously, I want to see it. It's probably going to close below this, and if we lose this, then definitely going to be coming down. There's a huge gap to fill here. So maybe on the daily we come to the 200 EMA, but then we got to watch out for how the market reacts other than this. So if we start to see Bitcoin price come down with it, like we talked about yesterday, we're going to keep our eye on USDT, USDC, and seeing how those market caps are reacting in comparison. People may be swapping out, getting out of it. But right now, Bitcoin dominance is at a pretty crucial level. If it breaks below this 50 moving average, which has been holding its support, 1, 2, this is the third time it's being tested and it's broken below it, we'll have to probably not give up on it, but have to start realizing that, okay, maybe there is a move to the downside. And again, if I pull up the weekly, we're coming down from the overbought. They got a little bit of support here around 46.77%. So we got about a whole percentage point coming down. If we lose that, right there, 44% maybe on the macro. We gotta be prepared for this. These tons of these gaps. If this is a massive gap here, price just shot up real quick. We've seen it here, price shot up, and then we get the gap filled on the other side. So definitely keep an eye on that when it comes to Bitcoin dominance. Let's look at USDT because that actually was going up yesterday, and then market right now. Yeah, it's doing okay. Yesterday it shot up a little bit higher than I expected. It was like 7.92, right around there.
How is it? How is it that the dollar is down, gold is going up, oil is up, risk assets are up, treasuries are like none of this makes a fuck bit of sense.
I know.
Like, God, what are we doing? Like, I'm looking. Meta's at a 16-month high. Nope, longer, 18-month high. You got Netflix over 400 a share, up $10 a share today. I mean, Nvidia, God bless them, up $20 a share today. Like, why is Meta up at 16-month highs? Why is it, just this absolute piss missile? I get that it was oversold for a while there, but I mean,
I don't care.
How many, how is it? It's fucking ridiculous. Like, look at that. What are we doing?
This is what makes no sense about this market. Like, even if it is oversold and people want to buy into it, Meta's doing nothing. You can talk about AI all you want, but granted, what is AI going to do for you today? Right now, in this moment, how
many fucking Oculuses are they selling that it's, going to that point?
Exactly. I mean, I don't think people are using Facebook. I remember Instagram was down 2 weeks ago, right? So clearly Meta.
I think I jump on Facebook once every 2 weeks to make sure that no one I know has died. And that's really the extent of it.
Oh, damn. I don't even have a Facebook anymore, but yeah, it's
just for old people at this point.
Yeah, it's really stupid, man. That's an insane shoot up. Let's look at a few other stocks that we talked about. Talked about this one a while ago. Not bad, but yeah. What the hell is this one? Bath and Body Works. Bath and Body Works again. We talked about Victoria's Secret the other day. We talked about L Brands, and L Brands also owns Bath and Body Works. But I just wanted to pull this up. This is on the weekly. It's in this parallel channel. It's starting to break out of it. We got the death cross here, so this is probably going to take a good leg down. Where?
Well, you know what, Kevin? Don't say that because nothing in this market makes sense. So I wouldn't assume anything.
Yeah, but people can't afford the two things that they want most, lingerie and candles. And I think these are the ones that are showing the true signs of a recession. But for the most part, yeah, you're absolutely right. Technically, if we're looking at this should come down. However, this market is absolutely...
Technicals don't matter. They don't matter. It's over. The technicals, just throw that shit out the window. Erase all your squiggly lines there. Nothing matters anymore. It's all bullshit.
I've been saying that for months, man, but I still believe in the technicals a little bit. Macro obviously helps with that. But
fundamentals don't matter. Technicals don't matter. Hopes and dreams. We are just living off of unicorn kisses and rainbows at this point. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's so frustrating, man. You know what? Let's just turn the charts off. Let's call it a day on the charts. This is bullshit. I'm not really sure if what's gonna happen in this market anymore. Yeah, they broke me. No, I'm just kidding. I still believe in everything that I say. I still think that we're going to 25K for Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Do not get me wrong. This is gonna I'm not gonna victory lap when the markets inevitably crash because I know people are gonna lose money. Yeah. But I'm gonna do a little dance because I'm so fucking certain in our decisions here and the way that we've been viewing the market. I think it's all horse shit. And I think that what we're seeing right now is going to make it even sweeter when we are right. I hope, I follow what I say on here as far as my decisions. Okay. I don't expect anyone else to. I don't want anyone to get hurt if I'm wrong because I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But goddamn, do I feel like I'm sorry, but it's coming. It has to happen eventually. And I'm not trying to be caught with my pants down, and get my ass kicked by this market because I don't want to be, fucking market makers exit liquidity. I don't want to be hedge fund exit liquidity. I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to try to remain zen and not just lose my fucking mind because I am just, I'm one step closer to the edge.
Great fucking song, man. You knew I would love that. Yeah, it's the big come down is definitely on the horizon. We know that the world's going to go away one day, and I can't wait there to be. I'm going to be right here for it. I'm going to have I'm going to have first row seats to see this entire market collapse. But I definitely think that for the time being, head down and focus. That's literally the way you got to be. That's why I'm like so monotone anymore. It's just like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to stress myself out about stupidity in this market. I just hate waking up every morning and seeing the NASDAQ up more and more. It's like, fuck the NASDAQ, man. It's fucking 5 companies in it that are absolutely pushing this shit up. Like, I want the NASDAQ down to like 2,000 at this point. Clearly, it's not going to go that far unless
Kevin's doing his best Charlie Murphy. Fuck your couch.
It's really
fuck your NASDAQ. All right.
All right.
I think on that note,
that's all I got. Just be patient, be calm. Again, trust the technicals and the macro in conjunction. Don't listen to anyone else because they will try and manipulate you into believing something that's not true. And that's their game, and we're playing a different game. We're here to win. We're gonna follow the money. We're not gonna, FOMO into anything.
Yep. Stay level-headed. Don't make rash decisions. Yeah. And if you haven't already, a couple things. Hit that like button down below. We got the subscribe button. Leave us a comment if you like today's show. And the big one is share this out. If you enjoyed what we had to say today, if you feel like we provide some decent information, please share this out to people you know. We want to try to provide as much of an unbiased resource as possible. It may seem like today we were biased toward the downside, but we've been trying to track everything for as long as possible, and I don't think it's a bias at this point. It's just that's how we feel about the market. So that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Not sure about what time. We got to deal with Kevin and his Taylor Swift mania, but we'll figure it out. So thank you for watching again. Be safe. See you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone. I'm still short as fuck.